What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTY. It's MSTR by Yield Max Option Income. So essentially, they're a synthetic covered call ETF. The reason they're synthetic is because they don't actually hold the underlying shares of Microstrategy. So they hold long-dated call options instead of the actual shares. So they do that to get more exposure to Microstrategy. So along with the volatility, it allows them to generate massive distributions that they can pay out to their shareholders. It's a leveraged position because they're dealing with options. But this also increases the risk because you're dealing with time. Whenever you're dealing with call options, you're dealing with time and there's decay with that time. So that is additional risk. Now, MSTR has outperformed MSTY, even including the dividend, but it all depends on what you are looking to get out of MSTY. Because if you're just trying to get that dollar value to increase as much as possible, just buying the underlying asset of MSTR is better than MSTY. But if you are trying to live off of dividends, or you're trying to add a little bit of income to your portfolio, maybe a small portion, then MSTY could be a great option. Now, there's different ways to go about it. This isn't my strong suit when it comes to yield max options, ETFs and stuff like that, but I have a decent understanding. So with these, you definitely want to reinvest those dividends and build it up and bulk it up as much as possible so that you can get a solid dividend coming out of it that you can actually live off of. It's a decent amount that's coming in that you can use in your everyday life, whatever you want to do with that money. But the underlying will always, not always, but the underlying in this case will outperform more than likely. Now, if I were to allocate it into my portfolio, I wouldn't go 100% in, me personally, but I would allocate maybe 2 to 5% to a dividend-based portfolio. So maybe I'll do like a SCHD with 45 to 50% JEPI, and then I could do like 3 to 5% to bump up my dividend, because that small percentage is a lot because of the yield that they're giving you. On MSTY right now, if you go on their website, it's showing 78%. If you go on Yahoo, it's showing 157 here, which is insane. So if you let that compound on itself, it can really do something nice for you. I saw an example where somebody was saying buying MSTY is like buying a rental property, and Yield Max is essentially your property management company, and the renters are the people that are buying and selling options. So as long as people continue to buy and sell options on MSTR, which they will, then the property management company, Yield Max, will continue to pay you out. So they probably won't go anywhere because people are going to continue to buy and sell options on MSTR because it's very volatile. So you can really build something nice off of it. Now, I do have to say, you do need to buy at the right time. With this one, you definitely need to time it because you don't want to buy up here because you're going to have a larger drawdown, because initially you started at $40 and then you lost 50% of your money. Granted, your dividend yield is still higher than what you're losing, which is pretty crazy. But if you can buy, for instance, in this example here, the short amount of time we have, if you could buy $28 or below, or you're buying now, you can stack up as many shares as possible and kind of just let it ride out, and then maybe it'll come back eventually. But it'll go up with MSTR, but it's going to be limited to the upside. So we had this downward sloping trend line. We broke out, downward sloping trend line. Let's see if we get another breakout. Honestly, with the Yield Max option ETFs, I don't even know if charting is really even really makes sense, because charting is just not ideal for these. But I'm a charting type of guy, so I'd like to draw lines on charts just because. But yeah, I think you could definitely add some to your portfolio and let it compound before you start living off of it, and I think it can actually do some good for you. Just let it compound and buy you more shares and buy you more shares. I saw at one point it was generating like 180% yield, which is insane. So, I mean, imagine you put $10,000 10,000 bucks in there and it's generating you $18,000. That's nuts. So if you let that compound the following year, let's say the price doesn't go anywhere, you're sitting on 28,000 now, and so on. So you let it do that for a couple years, it'll start generating you a nice amount of money. So I think it's a good addition to a portfolio, a small percentage that you're okay with. Like, oh, if this went to zero and I lost everything, I'm okay with it. So if I lost 3 to 5% of my portfolio, it's okay. But if it turns out good and it actually works out in a good manner, then it's actually going to really bring in some good money for you to live off of and spend or whatever you want to do with that money. But it's going to be a nice addition to your portfolio in terms of income. Also, it's perfect for somebody who doesn't want to deal with covered calls. So if you don't like selling covered calls yourself, like on MSTR, then this is also another option, because the other option you could do instead of the yield max option is buy MSTR options and then sell covered calls if you have enough shares. So that's the other thing that you could do. But overall, if you do want to get the most percentage gain, buying the underlying MSTR is going to be your best option. So it all depends on where you are in your life. If you're close to retirement, if you're just trying to get financial freedom early on, if you're extremely young and you plan on working for the next 10, 30 years, then you might want to be buying MSTR. So it all depends. That's why it's called personal finance, because every situation is different and every ETF stock can be good for one person, can be bad for the other person. So it all varies depending on each individual's situation. So always keep that in mind. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you like these MSTY videos, if I should keep doing them. I never really thought about doing it until somebody actually mentioned it in the comments, and I was like, oh, you know what, that'd be cool. So I decided to make a video on it. I'll see you in the next one.